All right, so if you look in the yellow box on the side, these are steps to solve word problems. Word problems can be challenging. Um, so it says carefully read the entire problem. Okay, and then as we're reading, we want to identify the unknown. Okay, the variable. Okay, that's really what are we trying to find? What is the question asking us, right? So maybe a good place to look at would be the question, and usually that's the last sentence. And then we'll write an equation, we'll solve it, and then we'll check it. And then as I've said in many videos, lessons, right? It's good to answer a word problem in a full sentence. All right, so let's read this question entirely, right, carefully as well. Lydia lives west of the library. She walks 3/5 of the way from her house to the library when she meets up with Stefan. They walk the remaining 0.8 miles to the library together. What value represents Lydia's home relative to the library? Okay, so what are we trying to find? What is the unknown? What is the variable? Right, we want to know, where is Lydia's home located? Lydia's home. That's what it says. So that's a variable. What is her home relative to the library? So let's draw a map real quick. Let's say this is Lydia's home, right? And then here's the library. I'll put LIB. Okay. So we want to know the distance from her home, or we want to know the location, right? So this is her home. Okay. So we could say this is H. We want to know what is that location relative to the library. So we could say when it says relative to the library, that means the library would be at 0. Okay. So this is at 0. Okay. Her home and the idea of it being west, west is a negative word. Okay. Because so this is the negative side. Okay, so I'll just write a little negative at the top there. Okay, so it says, right, if she's at her home, she walks 3/5 of the way. 3/5. So if I cut this into fifths, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, right, 5 sections, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it says she walks 1, 2, 3/5. Okay, so this is where they meet up. Okay, I'll put that in red. And they meet up, right? And then they walk the rest of the way. The rest of the way is 0.8 miles. So from the red dot to the library, okay, 0.8 miles. So this must be negative 0.8, okay? Because that's what they walked 0.8 miles. But this is negative 0.8 because remember this is the negative side. Okay, so now let's write an equation based off of this. Okay, so we know that she walked 3/5 of the total way, right? So the total way would be, from her house to the library. So she walked 3/5 of this entire length. So she walked 3/5 from her house to the library. So her house, we need to know what her house is. So I'm going to write 8 instead of X. I'm going to use H. Okay, so she walked 3/5 of the length of her house, right? So she walked 3/5 from here to there, right? That's 3/5 H. Okay, she walked 3/5, so that takes her to negative 0.8, right, miles. Okay, so now what do we do? Okay, we've written our equation. Let's solve it. What are we going to do to solve this? All right. Well, if you said, I mean, maybe you want to divide and multiply, but before we do anything, we need to rewrite this, right? I got decimals and fractions, okay? What's better, to write the fraction as a decimal or to change the decimal to a fraction in this one? All right, the best thing, let's change the fraction to a decimal. A fifth will be a terminating decimal. It will stop. So I could write this as 3/5 is 0.6 h equals negative 0.8. Okay, what are we going to do now? Right, we need to get rid of the 0.6. So what I'm going to do to get rid of that 0.6, I'm going to divide by 0.6 on both sides. Okay, divide by 0.6. They cancel out. So that means I'm left with, right, get the variable by itself, h equals, okay, we got negative divided by a positive. So a negative divided by a positive is going to be a negative. And then my answer, I'm going to get, if we did this as a decimal, I'm going to get 1.333, and it keeps repeating, 1.333, right? So that's a repeating decimal, or I write it like this, negative 1.3 with that little hat on top. All right. And you can also, to change this as a fraction, right? We could say, well, I could say negative negative 0.8 negative point over negative 0.6. I could say, well, this is like saying, 8 over 6 or negative 8 over 6. And then I can simplify that fraction to negative 4/3. We don't like it like that though, right? Negative 1 1/3, right? So h equals negative 1.3 repeating, or negative 1 1/3 as a fraction, mixed number. All right. And then you plug it in to check it, make sure it makes sense. It does. And then we'll answer in a full sentence. So go back to the question. What value represents Lydia's home relative to the library? So we would say Lydia's home is 1.3 or 1 1/3 miles west. Remember, the word west equals a negative. So 1.3 or 1 negative, oh no, 1 1/3 miles west of the library, relative to the library. Okay. All right, let's try one more. All right, try this one yourself. Pause the video, read the question, and then we'll review. All right, how did you do? Clarence fills a hole that is 2 1/4 feet deep, nearly to the top with cement. The top of the cement is just 2/3 feet from ground level. How many feet of cement does Clarence put in that hole? All right, sometimes when we have word problems, I like to draw a picture to kind of visualize what's going on. Okay, so we have a hole. There's the hole. Okay, he fills a hole, and the hole is 2 1/4 feet deep. So I'm going to write it over here, 2 1/4 feet. So from the top to the bottom, right, it's 2 1/4 feet deep, right? So, and then he fills the top nearly to the top with cement. Okay, so if we put our cement in, right, it says it goes nearly to the top. So let's say it goes right there, and he fills the hole with cement. Okay, and it says the top of the cement is just 2/3 feet from ground level. So, right, that means he doesn't. It's not from the cement, how much cement he fills, from the top, okay, from the top to the bottom of the cement. So from there to there, right? It's 2 1/3 feet, okay? 2 1/3, or 2/3, from ground level. So how many feet of cement does Clarence put in the hole? So that's what we want to know. We want to know, you know, how much cement is right there from he put in from here, from the bottom to there. This is what we want to know, how much he put in. So this is the question mark. That's our question. That is our variable, how much cement he put in. So let's write an equation. Okay, so we have, he put cement in. So let's call that C for cement. C, cement, plus, a little extra 2/3 plus 2/3 equals the entire hole. Right, from top to bottom, the entire hole is 2 1/4. Okay, so there's my equation. We wrote our equation. Now we can solve the equation. Okay, is it better to change the fractions to decimals or leave them as fractions? All right, in this case, it's better to leave them as fractions. One, because everything's fractions, and two, 2/3 is a repeating decimal. You get 0.66666 for forever, so it's not really going to help. It's not going to give us our exact answer. So let's solve this. What are we going to do first to get C by itself? That's what we want, C alone. What is C? What are you going to do? All right, well, we need to get rid of 2/3, positive 2/3 plus 2/3. So we're going to subtract 2/3 from both sides to keep the equation balanced. Okay, so we subtract 2/3, and then we're going to get, well, we got to do this. So let's do this over here. 2 1/4 minus 2/3. Now, if I try to do 1 1/4 minus 2/3, right, this 2/3 is bigger than this, so I need to actually regroup. I'm going to borrow from the 2, right? That becomes a 1, and I'm going to give 1 to 1/4, but it's going to look different. I'm going to give it 4/4. 4/4, that's 1 whole. I took away 1, and I gave 1. It just looks a little bit different. So now my new problem is 1, right? 1 5/4 minus 2/3. Okay, I'm going to plug this using the butterfly method right down here. 5/4 minus at the top there 2/3, because we're going to butterfly. That means we're going to multiply. 5 times 3 is 15. 4 times 2 is 8. At the bottom there, 4 times 3 is 12. We subtract, right? So we get 15 minus 8 is 7. 7/12. Okay, so 5/4 minus 2/3 is 7/12. And then I have 1 left over. Okay, so that's what C equals. Okay, so how much cement did we put in? 1 7/12 feet, right? And you can check it, plug it back into the equation. 1 7/12, and maybe you want to change this as decimals to get an approximate. Okay, and then you'd see that 1 7/12 plus 2/3 does equal 2 1/4. All right, and then as always, let's get a full sentence, right, to show that we fully understand, right? Look at the question. How many feet of cement does Clarence put in the hole? Clarence puts 1 7/12 feet of cement in the hole.